really look at fashion as a way to get in touch with who I am today, how I want to show up. It's a way for me to very simply kind of check in and decide what I want to bring to the world. And because I've had so much practice doing that, it's become easier and easier to do that. And I've found just by being expressive and being kind of fearless in that, it's giving people permission to do that on their own. So when I walk into a room full of color, maybe an old soccer jersey I used to wear, it also is a form of connection because usually what I'm wearing is interesting and I get to talk to a lot of people. And so I also use fashion as a way to connect with others.
Hi, I'm Leslie Silverman, and I thrive on deep, honest conversations with entrepreneurs about how we show up as the truest version of ourselves, both personally and professionally. Because when we let our light shine, we give others permission to do the same. This is a category of one. Kelly O'Connell is the visionary designer and founder of the Kind and Funny brand shop, where she works with women-owned businesses to bring their unique magic to life on websites, social media, and in real life. As a burgeoning artist, Kelly is passionate about facilitating self-expression through her work, her collaborative art-making workshops, and in every aspect of her life. I think you're really going to enjoy our conversation. Truthfully, if I am ever thinking about anybody who is a category of one, it is you, Miss Kelly O'Connell. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk today.
I know. I'm so excited to have you. Look at your gorgeous backdrop. Let's just go there. So let's talk about your art. What do we have behind you here, and what has inspired this beautiful collection?
Oh, I love it. What's behind me here is what I'm calling my Art Girls series. And this is something that I've started recently. Basically, I pull out a magazine ad that I think is interesting, and then I paint over it. It is cathartic, it's fun, it's easy, and it really connects me to a playful, creative spirit that I'm always trying to be in touch with. And so these ladies back here have been helping me with it.
I love it. And they're so colorful, and they just bring in just the energy of all this cool fashion and inspiration. So, as I noted in my intro, Kelly runs a brand studio, as do I. And one of the things that Kelly and I talk about a lot that I think is really going to be important for our listeners is the concept of abundance and not scarcity mentality when it comes to collaborating or having support from people who do the same thing that you do. Because what Kelly and I have talked about multiple times is that we do the same thing, but there is zero competition because our style and our intrinsic approach and our energy and our vibe are totally unique to us. And so you are just a great expander in that whole energetic of never thinking anybody who does similar services is a competitor.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think we can all learn from each other, whether or not we're in the same industry or not. But gosh, the fact that we are in the same industry, we're able to really learn from each other in such specific ways because we do similar work. And like you said, we do it in different ways, in different capacities. But I think just being able to learn from one another has been mind opening from answering this kind of expansive question, realizing that I could learn from you and from other people kicking ass out there was something that really changed in my journey because I feel like I used to have to figure it out by myself, heads down, and learning that I could learn from others while it sounds really simple was a game changer for me.
Yeah, and it goes so beyond just that learning from each other in terms of what software do you use to accomplish this, or we actually both attended a coaching mastery program where we learned certain core foundational approaches to brand strategy, but we all take it and we interpret it in our own way. But sometimes it's really comforting to understand that people have the same struggles, hurdles, or even successes, and being able to share that has been just added to the abundance.
It's a gift. I mean, to be able to talk specifically about client challenges that are probably similar in both of our works. We have a shared language. We can like get to the nitty gritty right away. Um, and that's why I always love hanging out with you, Leslie.
Yeah, I know. One of so many reasons. Okay, so beyond just the fashion magazine that you have taken and interpreted in your own way of art, Kelly is a fashionista in her own right. But I would describe you as someone who just uses fashion. You're not a trendy fashion person. You are just the most yourself fashion person I have ever seen. So share with me and our listeners about how you get dressed, how you shop, and how you
Hmm.
support others in that form of self expression.
Ugh, I love it. Well, it probably all started because I went to Catholic school growing up and I had a uniform. So when I did get to decide what I was going to wear, I took it really serious. And I remember back then it was an opportunity to express. And I think because I've taken that mentality for so many years, it's just become ingrained to how I interact with myself every day. I really look at fashion as a way to get in touch with who I am today, how I want to show up. It's a way for me to very simply kind of check in and decide what I want to bring to the world. And because I've had so much practice doing that, it's become easier and easier to do that. And I've found just by being expressive and being kind of fearless in that, it's giving people permission to do that on their own. So when I walk into a room full of color, maybe an old soccer jersey I used to wear, it also is a form of connection because usually what I'm wearing is interesting and I get to talk to a lot of people. And so I also use fashion as a way to connect with others. And most recently, we started at Kind and Funny offering these personal style soul searches to ask people kind of what they want out of their fashion, what they want out of how they're living. And we've kind of learned how to give people really specific tips and tricks, but also a lot of permission to experiment and have fun and play because that's where I really got to learn how I wanted to show up and how I wanted to feel in the world with a lot of playing.
It's so true because what we wear is part of our personal brand. It's our energetic, it's how we feel. If you're wearing something that feels that doesn't fit right and you don't feel comfortable in your tight jeans, you're not going to feel comfortable in your body, in the room, in the space. And so I thought of you and I need to share this episode with you of it was the Mel Robbins podcast and she had on a somebody who styles like famous people for the red carpet. But the
Yeah.
woman was talking about the most important 6 words every person can say to themselves in the morning when they go in their closet is, "How do I want to feel today?"
Yes.
And
It's as simple as that.
you embody that because like you said, am I feeling playful? Am I feeling bold? Am I feeling super colorful? Do I want to be comfortable? And I've seen some of the direction that you put together for people in their self-expression. So what do you call it? Your soul search?
personal personal style soul search.
Yeah. Personal style soul search, helping them decide on their style. And I've watched these people show up more confident because it's almost like their outside can now reflect their inside and they didn't know how to do it on their own without some fresh perspective and support.
Yeah, it lights me up when I get a text message from a person who we've done this with a couple months down the line with, like, them having some practice and, like, testing, and I've gotten to see people just embody this authentic person that they are, and when people walk into a room authentic and confident, there is a magnetism, like, you can't deny it, and so knowing that I'm helping people feel closer to themselves and feel like they can self-express with creativity and fun, God, I mean, we're living the life over here, Leslie.
Right? It's so true. And you said something a moment ago where you said by showing up how you want to dress, and maybe that draws attention in a room, but you feel like you're giving others permission to self express in their own way. It's like what I say in my intro for this show. When we let our light shine, we give others permission to do the same. And so whether that's personality or how we dress or all the things. And since I've known you, I absolutely feel like you've given me permission to wear what I want to wear and not be afraid to show up looking like me and like nobody
Yeah.
else, because who else would I ever want to look like?
Yeah, I love it. I think there's so many ways that we can look and show up. I some day and some weeks I'm like head to toe sweats because like that's what I need to do and that's okay. I think learning that there are actually no rules and like learning that we can create our own kind of structure around how we show up is so empowering. It's not going to look like anybody else, just like you said, because we're all individuals and we all bring different personality background to how we show up.
I want to share an experience that Kelly and I had together recently when we were on a hike. And we had this amazing conversation that spawned from we were talking about this type of thing, about being bright, shiny lights and being our truest selves and all of that type stuff that we love to hype each other up on. And all of a sudden, we see this little girl. She was maybe 4 years old and she was all decked out. She had on like a tutu and a costume and a veil and a thing and a stuff. And we looked at each other and we were like, that epitomizes self expression. Somewhere along the way, we lost that connection to our inner child. She
Mhm.
personified for us our inner child. It's like she couldn't have walked on set at a better moment than what we were talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Children are such great examples of this, right? It's such pure forms of, you know, how they want to be. Like this child with a tutu. You know, I wear a tutu every once in a while because I am still connected to my inner child, and it's so funny because every time I wear this tutu out in public, the little girls, their jaws drop because they don't often see, you know, adults express that. So I love giving people permission, and I also love using children as inspiration because they're the purest forms of self-expression before kind of the world does its work on us.
Yeah, and getting back to that is the key. I had a beautiful opportunity last week to go dance at Red Rocks to a
Mhm.
DJ where everyone was dressed. I did the yoga before, so I was just in yoga clothes and that was accepted, but there was people in amazing costumes or channeling their own spirit of the day, but just everybody moving their bodies and dancing freely to the music in community. You could more in a more tactile way feel that impact of how we can influence each other and give others permission to do it when we're in a group setting. It's that magnetic energy of, wow, look at that person so embodied and doing what's lighting them up. And so I feel safe to do that too. And you bring that together on a regular basis. Do you want to share about Self Expression Club?
Oh, of course. Um, yeah, so I was talking about my ladies behind me up here, but I started my self-expression club, which is it's a monthly event where I bring together a group of curated women who I think would give get along really well, and I bring them together in my artist loft here, and we connect over food, and then we make collage together. So collage was kind of the first art form that I started practicing about 4 years ago now, and collage was something where I could use my hands and I could meet myself in different parts of myself without the self judgment, without the inner critic. And it was just this kind of really special place of healing and connection that I got to do with myself on a regular basis. And after practicing my own artistic practice for about a year, I realized I had to share this with others. I mean, this just this practice of creating art, meeting myself where I am no matter what, and doing it in the company of women who are brave and out there in the world, like connecting to themselves and to their people. And so, yeah, I've been doing this my self-expression club for about a year now, and it's just my favorite part of the month. I love it.
I think one of the things that it does for the attendees as well is shows us that art and creativity also are not in a box. That
Yes. Oh,
anything is creativity that you want it to be, and it can
yes.
be painting over a magazine fashion ad. It can be collaging on a old bottle or an old frame, or I love the collaborative support that happens around the art table at your studio where everyone's looking at each other's stuff and cheering each other on. Or I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm not an artist, I'm not creative," but then feel so supported in being free and getting sticky and creating something. And we all have an inner child, we all have an inner artist, and so you don't have to be Monet to be an artist. You don't have to be a painter or a sculptor. You can
Yeah,
just be a human being who has a vision.
absolutely. I was one of these people. I mean, before I started Kind and Funny, I worked at the Contemporary Art Museum here in Denver and never once considered myself an artist. I was surrounded by serious artists who had their works in the museum, and I just had this really narrow view. And then it happened almost immediately. I started my business and then I started creating for myself, and I really turned into this artist that I never thought that I was. But it was all like just like you're saying, creativity can come in so many ways. And so part of my self-expression club is sharing just like, girls, we can rip paper and we can make shit out of it. And that's really powerful. And it doesn't like an artistic practice doesn't have to look the same for everyone. So I just like to encourage people that spending even 30 minutes, like working on a creative muscle of any kind, is empowering. And like having agency in our lives right now with art is really special.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is, and so many thoughts are running through my brain right now. One being, and we've talked about this as well, sometimes when you have a job where you have to be creative on demand for
Hmm.
our clients, when we're producing creative output for clients, it is so supportive to go regroup or plug into something else to get the creative juices flowing. And I think we both shared that we used to feel like I have to sit here and get this done
Oh,
because I'm on a deadline. But whether it's going out in nature
mm,
or drawing or collaging or painting or doing something else allows those ideas to float in
yes.
easier than sitting and staring at a screen, right?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad both of us learned that. Because not only do our bodies and minds love going out there, but like the ideas got better. I feel like when we give our ideas space rather than trying to cram them when they're not there, I think it goes back to kind of this abundant mindset of the ideas will always be here. So we don't have to be scared about leaving our desks and coming back to nothing because I've proven to myself that these ideas are infinite in here and everything's going to be okay. And it'll actually get better with some space and just reconnecting to self.
Ah, yes. And part of the entrepreneurial journey, and it is not an easy road and it is not for everyone. But part of the learning curve, I think, of that is giving ourselves that permission for flexibility, that
Oof.
we don't have to work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. We can work when the creativity comes. We can hike in the middle of the day or work on a different creative project for self in the middle of the day or get together with friends or do whatever flows. Otherwise, what's the point of being entrepreneur? Go get a job where you gotta punch the clock and someone else deals with all of the business side. So that's been a hard-earned lesson.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think exactly. For me, the point of starting my own business was to find this freedom and was to find a lifestyle that actually could sustain me. And since I'm the one in charge, it's up to me to figure that out and up and hold myself to it. And part of that is going on walks in the middle of the day with Leslie and taking myself out to the park. I have kind of reimagined the office. It's no longer just here. It's kind of everywhere for me. And that gave me a lot of freedom. And even like when I'm on my walks, this is part of my work and actually really owning that and taking it serious because these are the parts of the business that sustain me as a human being. And I got to take care of myself as the human because we're the ones executing the work.
The secret of the self-care, I try to instill that in my young daughters. I mean, they're in their 20s, but I try to share that lesson with them. And we can't pour from an empty cup, right? So we have to fill our own cup first, and then it makes it more productive. And instead of the forcing and the
Mm,
pushing, welcoming that ease, not making it be so hard.
yeah,
You've been very open in publicly in your communication about ADHD and how recognizing that and creating certain self-care rituals around it has made you so much more productive and fulfilled. And I imagine others who have ADHD listening would really appreciate any successful little things you've done.
sure. Oh gosh, this is like one of my other favorite topics. But I'm not talking about self expression, we're talking about ADHD. But I think for me, I learned this about 3 years ago and learning what this diagnosis meant, both kind of looking backwards and also recognizing what it means for my life now and moving forward. Gosh, it's been a journey and like it will always be a journey, but I think what I've learned most about this right now is in order for me as a woman with ADHD to live in this world, I have to really take care of myself and I have to really accept a lot of these parts of myself that are more challenging. My impulsivity, the fact that I get really excited and interrupt, these things are um both endearing but also come with some consequence. So just this learning of acceptance and also learning that I have to take care of myself. So also learning about what's good for me from like protein in the mornings to taking mornings extremely slow and not forcing myself to be a morning person and being gentle. I mean, I am a high performer, recovering perfectionist, and learning that some of these tactics that I've learned to be successful were trauma responses. I'm learning how to do things differently and having to be really gentle with myself in the learning. And most importantly, not doing it alone. Being able to talk about ADHD with pretty much everyone I know at this point, it's been incredibly cathartic, connecting, and again, seeing myself and others and vice versa just helps feel less alone in this. And knowing that I have a ton of support is huge. I guess that's what I would say.
Yeah. I agree. I applaud you for your vulnerability, and I think whenever we can make ourselves feel a little bit uncomfortable
Mhm.
and share those parts of ourselves, I think it makes us brave and strong. I don't think it shows weakness on any level. I think it's comforting to have support and connection. I was messaging with somebody yesterday who was just decided to leave their marriage, and she was very vulnerable and open about how she felt relief, not sadness, because she felt like she grieved it while she was in it. And that I resonated with that very deeply because it was about 7 years ago when my marriage ended, and I felt very similar, that I had mourned it while in it for so long that I felt relief. And through vulnerability of both of us sharing that story, we found connection, less aloneness, validation, because we're all just these imperfect humans trying to survive. And when we can allow those parts of ourselves out, there's always somebody who's in a different phase of discovery who can connect. And it feels so good. It feels
Yeah.
so good to just unburden ourselves and also to support somebody else.
Oh my gosh, totally. And I think so much there's a lot around ADHD and shame and learning that shame thrives in the dark and loneliness and really gets scared of vulnerability. That's what I've tried to really lean into here because the shame spirals are could be real and learning ways to come out of the darkness into the light by just talking to someone who is safe enough to do that, it is huge. And I didn't do this 3 years ago. And so and knowing kind of both before and after, just like you're saying, like, I'm able to share kind of my journey through that, and I'm able to learn from people who have known about their ADHD longer, and so, yes, I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about at the top of we can learn so much from each other, and I'm a lifelong learner, and I'm loving what I'm learning right now from
Yeah,
the people I'm surrounded with.
and that is just one piece, part of you. That is not who you are. And I mean, not to go off on this whole therapeutic tangent of parts work, but that has been helpful for me, parts work, in that is part of you. It's not who you are. And that part, and I don't want to put on you something that isn't true, but I would imagine that that part of you is also what allows you to be this vibrant, creative being. And so
Yes.
there are other qualities to it that maybe you're learning how to support in ways that you want to be different. But then there's also beautiful parts of it that,
Oof. Of
right?
course. I
Yeah.
mean, of course. I mean, aren't we all both light and shadow? And I think just to reiterate, parts work has been huge for me in my ADHD journey. Nuance is very difficult for an ADHD brain. So learning that I have all these multiple parts and learning to kind of separate them out has been so immensely helpful because it's the tendency for me to be all or nothing is there. So being able to really be specific and nuanced in who I am, again, gives me more expansion and like grace with myself. So, yes, I think to reiterate, like parts work is good for everyone.
It
Please
really,
look
really,
into it.
it really is. And the same as what we were talking about with the self expression, with the way we dress. All of these are ways that when we are reflecting these parts in the world and not afraid to show them, we give others permission to do the same for themselves. And it creates community. I have attended your even self expression club where you just know amazing people, and you bring together such a diverse group, whether it be background or lifestyle or age or whatever. And we all have this beautiful common thread simply of being open,
Yes.
being vulnerable, being truthful, and what I like to call growth mindset.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'd throw in authentic and vulnerable, I think, which you mentioned. I think that is the magic of the group.
I agree. I agree. Well, my darling, thank you so much for coming and having this conversation with me today. And for anyone who would like to follow along with Kind and Funny, we're going to have links in the show notes. Kelly has a fabulous Instagram. You get to see all her amazing fits, not to mention all of her cool art and all the projects she's doing through Kind and Funny. And we will link all that below. So follow up with her.
Yay! Thank you, Leslie. I could do this for another hour, but we'll do it soon.
Okay.
Maybe on the mountain.
Sounds perfect.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. This has been a Category of One podcast. If this resonated with you, please share, subscribe, or leave a review. I appreciate you.